Mike McCarthy indicating today the Cowboys are preparing for Cooper Rush to start Sunday night against the Eagles. Quote, we're preparing for Cooper Rush to start Sunday night against the Eagles. At practice today, Dak Prescott could be seen throwing the ball with his left hand. I don't know what that's about. As of our tape time, after practice, he was supposed to throw with some receivers. Courtney Cronin, how do you hear that? And can the Cowboys beat the Eagles with Rush?
Well, I'm buying that Dak Prescott is not healthy enough to play against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it makes sense because when you think about the timeline for his surgically repaired right thumb, the initial 6 weeks minimum would bring them to October 30th, which is still a couple weeks away, and that's when Dallas hosts the Bears. So I think you have to go back to what Mike McCarthy said after the Rams game, that they are a defensive-first operation. They are comfortable winning games that way. It's no longer where they're building everything around the quarterback in Dallas. They are a defensive first team. So as long as they can continue to win this way with Cooper Rush, and they've won their last 4 games, I think they're going to ride that to give Dak as much time.
So defense first, Rush starts Sunday night, and in the final score of the game, who you got?
I'm going to take Philly just because they are riding a hot streak right now, and they are at home.
Okay. Clinton Yates on the decision, looking like Cooper Rush Sunday night.
I'm selling the need for this to constantly be an issue when all of the actual quarterback can do is pick up a helmet barely with his right hand. You don't have any other options. Of course you're preparing Cooper Rush to start because it's not like Will Greer is going to walk out of that door. They're winning games. I don't know why we act like this is some big problem right now, okay? If you've got victories, don't worry about that.
Can they beat Philly with
Just
Cooper Rush, Clinton Yates?
I think they can beat Philly with Cooper Rush. I'll give them that, sure.
El Duncan.
Yeah, my favorite is like Jerry Jones, like trying to explain to us, like, I want you to visualize spinning a football without the ability of using your thumb. I don't know who he's trying to convince, bruh. We're the one that thought you were crazy. When a few weeks ago you were like, in my mind, he'll be ready to go in a couple of days, and he still had stitches in his hand. I don't know why he keeps trying to like convince us Dak's not ready. We know, Jerry. The beauty of Cooper Rush is that you don't have to rush Dak back, so you can stop updating.
And then you get
Dak
to Rush on offense with the running game you have. And with all that, can the Cowboys beat the Eagles Sunday night out?
With that defense, the Cowboys can beat anybody.
And Frank Isola.
El's been workshopping that Jerry impersonation. That is very good. Cooper Rush went on the road and beat the Super Bowl champs. Didn't play well, but he played well Monday night against the Giants in New York. Why can't he go on the road? We all know if Dallas wins that game, it's going to be because of their defense. The quarterback just needs to not make mistakes, and they'll have a chance.
Baseball now for buy or sell, too. In a best-of-7 series, Game 3, usually the must-win special. But what is it in a best-of-5? Could it be Game 2 tonight? Kershaw, Darvish. Is it must-win for San Diego? Last night, Game 1, Dodgers 5, Padres 3. Some pressure bullpen button pushing by Dave Roberts. Clinton, who and what you buy here?
I'm buying the Dodgers. I was not there last night. Tonight, I'll be there. I like what Roberts has done in terms of leaving Kimbrel off the playoff roster. He's got Trace Thompson up there, who's looked pretty good in the outfield as well. And in general, the Dodgers do what they do. Clevenger had given up 13 earned runs in 13 innings to that team in the regular season, and they hit better with runners in scoring position than any other team in the league. They did that. They got on top of them, and they didn't let it loose. I think the Dodgers showed what they are in terms of depth and in terms of their ability to make right decisions.
Courtney Cronin.
I'm buying that it's must-win for the Padres because when we take a look at these best-of-5 series, teams coming back from an 0-2 deficit, it's only happened 10 times in history of Major League Baseball. So that's not a lot. If they lose tonight, it basically gives them a 7% chance to continue onwards. But I'll buy the confidence that they have in you, Darvish. Last time that he faced the Dodgers, he allowed 2 hits, struck out 9 and 7 scoreless, and he looked good 5 days ago against the Mets.
So you're liking San Diego tonight? Can I put you down for that? It sounds like it. Frank Isola, how about you?
I don't think we're going to be seeing Bill Plaschke for a long time. The Dodgers are going to go really far. Your bullpen comes in last night, 4 scoreless innings. I get it. San Diego is a terrific team. The Dodgers, just a little bit better. They always beat them.
That's what David Ortiz was saying last night. Is when you go up against the daddy knows all your moves, El Duncan. Is it tonight a must-win for San Diego?
Well, of course. Not if this was a best of 7, but it's a best of 5. But to Yates' point, he's been sipping matcha and Chavez Ravine all season long. For those of us that haven't seen the Dodgers, I thought that game was fun. It was like a curtain of mystery for relievers. It was like, who's coming up next?
Right.
Oh, that's right. You do play for the Dodgers now. What up, Chris Martin? Still appreciate you from last year. Listen, the one question we had for this team, because you have to sort of mince things when you're talking about a historically good team, is what were they going to do in their bullpen? And Dave Roberts showed they've got that under control.
All right, Frank Isola, L. Duncan, front row seats for a showdown between Yates and
I'm out.
The Dallas Cowboys decision for QB1 versus the Eagles.
Me.
And the Warriors' punishment of Draymond Green. We'll have the latest on that, too. The culture has been damaged, Steve Kerr said. Let's go.
Culture is Steph Curry.
Long Drive by Nick Castellanos. Oh, wait.
Shut up, Frank. Quit bringing up old stuff.
Let's start with baseball. Every angle of Yordan Alvarez's home run is amazing. The ball just pulverized, etherized. The ball ceased to exist. Orange crush at the ballpark. So how the Mariners blew this, does the off day today make it better or worse as far as recovering from this? And how can this carry a team like the Houston Astros? Clinton Yates around the horn to you. What did we just witness?
I think what we just witnessed is something that has a bigger potential to crush the Mariners than it does to carry the Astros. That's a team with playoff experience and knows what they're doing, as evidenced by Yordan Alvarez and his free-swinging style. But for Scott Service, I'm sorry. I know that it might not be a you decision only. I know it might be more of a front office thing when it comes down to what the matchups are. But you simply cannot sacrifice a lefty-on-lefty situation for that just to say you did it when you've got a guy who's not even a reliever who steps in there and is not even a good personal matchup. I thought it was a bad decision first guessing it at the time, and it immediately was a problem. I will give credit to Pena for getting on base and continuing that inning, but that at the time looked idiotic, and sure enough, it did not work out.
Lights out for the Mariners now after a loss like that. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that it's lights out, but what you had to do in a short series, again, we're still in the 5-game setters. You had to get up early on a team that you know is better than you are, and it was happening on the road. That's a devastating loss, I believe, to them as far as morale's concerned.
Courtney Cronin, what did we just witness?
Well, we witnessed the Mariners doing exactly what they needed to do against Justin Verlander, but like Clinton said, I think it's an indefensible decision for Scott Service. I mean, when we see how good Yordan Alvarez is against lefty pitchers and how he's owned Robbie Ray all season long, he hit .833 against him. So why going with the conventional matchup here instead of taking a deeper dive into the numbers? It doesn't make any sense to me. And also, we know that Paul Sewald has been struggling ever since that Toronto game. So I don't really know why before Ray was put in there that he didn't go with Eric Swanson, who had been, holding lefties to a 200 average all season.
Frank Isola, what did we just witness?
It's funny. With the Mariners, you were thinking there's a special quality to them. Maybe this is going to be a magical run. And it seemed like with one pitch, it kind of ended because he absolutely demolished that ball. And I love the visual of his teammates already on the first base line before he even left the batter's box. But I think for the Mariners, it's crushing. And this is the thing about managers. I know you bring in a guy that won the Cy Young last year, but it seems like when they get to postseason baseball, they start to manage differently than they do in the regular season. And I get it for a Game 7 winner-take-all, that's different. But for Game 1, it just didn't seem like the right move. And that ball by Alvarez is still traveling as we speak.
Are you willing to say lights out for Seattle? The series is over after that one swing.
No, it's one game, and they're off today, so this whole momentum thing, I'm not.
L. Duncan, what did we witness?
Yeah, what we witnessed is the perils of dating someone young, right? Like, you can remember that. They're kind of unpredictable. They're very streaky. It's super fun at times. And then all of a sudden, they do something really stupid, like start doing parkour while you're walking into the restaurant for your date. And that's exactly what the
That's a
Robbie
very
Ray situation
specific
was. You're like, oh, God,
example.
that's right.
Yes.
You're a child. You have no experience in this situation. And so you're just literally making this up as you go along. That's what we witnessed. The Astros have been to 5 straight CSs for a reason. again, like they've got the experience, and the Mariners just did something really, really unconscionable, yes, but we've sort of seen that in the same way that Seattle now becomes the first team in postseason history to overcome a 4-run lead and then blow one in back-to-back games. It goes back to that streakiness of being young and dumb and fun, but also crazy.
Not a lot of walk-off home runs in playoff history. Not a lot of bottom of the ninth when you're trailing home runs in baseball history. And in the history of baseball, does anybody know how many home runs, walk-off variety, while trailing by multiple runs there were in Major League Baseball history?
It rhymes with hero.
1, 2.
There were 0 until Yordan Alvarez yesterday. Very well done, Clinton.
I was at the
Yates.
Joe Carter game, if that means anything.
Carter was one
was
run
there.
behind, and it was a
Yeah.
three-run home. But yeah, we move on. Draymond Green, fined by the Golden State Warriors, but not suspended. And now we know he will return to the team and play in the Warriors' final preseason game Friday, and then play in the season opener next week. While disclosing the team discipline, Steve Kerr called it the biggest crisis the Warriors have gone through since he's been there. Quote, our culture has been damaged, end quote. And he also said he involved Jordan Poole and Steph Curry in the conversations about what Green's punishment could be. Frank Isola, is 2 preseason games missed and a week away from the team the right punishment?
I'm shocked by the decision. I thought for sure he would get multiple games. Draymond Green got suspended 1 game for hurting Kevin Durant's feelings. Here he's taking a punch at a teammate, and they're not going to give him anything. We've seen the video of it. So on opening night, Draymond Green's going to be there to get his ring from the commissioner of the sport. And I think back to Mari Stoudemire being suspended for a playoff game, which cost Phoenix Patrick Ewing with the Knicks for stepping out onto the court. Here you have video of somebody throwing a punch, and spare me with it happens all the time. I talked to a lot of NBA people, a lot of 90s Knicks. All they did was fight at practice. They've never seen anything like that. We all like Draymond Green, totally out of line. To me, the league had to come down, or at least the Warriors had to come down on him harder than that.
Well, could the league come down on him?
I guess in theory they could. It's just such, for TNT, it's great. They have opening night. They have Draymond Green, ring night, Charles Barkley, and you're going to get the Lakers there as well. But it seems a little odd that he's going to be playing basketball on that night, considering the punch that he threw at Jordan.
L. Duncan, 2 preseason games missed and a little time away from the team. Is that the right punishment here?
Did Steve Kerr say that this is the biggest crisis to face us in jest? Are we sure that it wasn't in jest? Because they were up 3-1 in a whole ass series. So, like, that's probably, I think he means the worst PR crisis. Because guess what, guys? The facade is off. We now know that the Warriors are not the 3 best friends that anyone can have. People hate finding out that their cast of characters, that these teams that we've sort of, made heroes don't like each other. They don't like finding that out. At the end of the day, if the Warriors are the ones saying that that punishment is enough, to your point, Frank, I think it says a lot more about KD that he was punished for calling him a B word than it does about whether or not he deserved it than it does with Jordan Poole. Because at the end of the day, if the team says that that's enough, then that's enough. Why do we not take them at their word?
Well, they did call it the worst crisis, though, right? So the word is saying
crisis.
2 different things at once, L. Duncan. It's saying this is the worst it's ever been for us, but in the previous instance, it was a suspension for a game.
Okay. But here's the thing, Tony. Just like when my daughter's pre-K teacher told me the other day that she got in trouble for calling another kid an energy vampire, I swore to her that I was disgusted with that behavior and I would address it with Eva, but secretly I laughed because I've called her that. So I think Steve Kerr is saying that publicly so that they can get away with not actually
It's
punishing
possible these are 2 different scenarios, though, El. Possible that Poole and Draymond Green are going to have to play in the NBA together, whereas the vampire energy, whatever that was, we can just, color somewhere else in the room. Clinton Yates, how about you?
I think the reason why this is such a crisis for this team is that it's ongoing. Whether or not the punishment is up to snuff with what anybody thinks should be the case for what he did, which was inappropriate or not, is not the point here. This boat still has to keep sailing, and that's what Kerr is talking about, with everything all exposed in terms of the fact that they clearly not only don't like each other, but 2 guys gunning for the same contract money are literally coming to fisticuffs in practice. He's going to have to answer to that every single time any little thing comes up. I completely understand why this is such a big deal for him, because you do not want to have to talk about this all season, and now he has no choice. The finals are one thing. You're already in the finals. They haven't even started the season, and this is already a huge
since
issue.
it's such a
Major
big deal,
problems
do you
for the
think
Warriors.
there should have been more of a punishment, a suspension of regular season game?
I don't think that the punishment is irrelevant, but I do think that the problems that this creates are going to be well beyond whether or not Draymond is with the team on any specific night or not.
Tony Cronin.
Yeah, I think that Steve Kerr and Bob Myers have made it clear they're more upset about the video getting leaked and put out there than they were an altercation that happened in practice. And very clearly, you know how the Golden State Warriors feel about any sort of practice assault. Very different than how the Chicago Bulls felt when they suspended Bobby Portis 8 games in 2017 for clocking Nikola Mirotic. And I guess maybe the threshold is you have to send somebody to the hospital before there's any sort of suspension here. I mean, it just feels like what happened doesn't exactly fit what Steve Kerr, as Elle had pointed out to, is calling the biggest crisis that this team has ever faced. Just feels like there's kind of, maybe if he was a bench player that he would have been suspended by now. It seems like his star power is kind of saved him.
Elle Duncan back in.
It's a PR crisis. That's the point. I don't think that Steve Kerr thinks that this is going to hamper them repeating as champions or impede them from their ultimate goal. It's a PR
Clinton Yates
crisis.
is shaking
To
his
your
head
point,
no.
Clinton, now they have to
Go ahead,
answer
Clinton.
for it. Every time they go on a losing streak, every time Draymond has a bad game, every time he gives a teammate a look, it's become a PR crisis more so than anything
See why?
else.
In a league in which Twitter runs what everybody thinks about what actual players believe, and all of the rampant rumors are all over the place, a PR crisis is as real as any crisis as any NBA team is going to have at this point.
And Frank Isola, do you think the Warriors need to do? What do you think they need to do? What will it take to get past this?
I think maybe they left this up to the players, and the players might have decided. But if Steph Curry says, you know what, I'm okay with Draymond Green playing, Patrick Baldwin Jr., who's on a 2-way contract, is going to say, nah, I think he probably should be suspended. Once it starts with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, that's how everyone else is going to fall in line.
And
But I'll
you
tell you
saying
what, if
W.
I'm Jordan Poole, I'm not
All
happy.
it takes is
Winning
win.
cures all ills, Tony. Winning
And
cures
Courtney
all ills.
Cronin,
You know
what
the
would it
best way to
take to
move
get
past
past
this?
this?
Win some games. No one will care.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond did what he always does in these sort of moments. He had a very authentic Draymond sort of press conference, 40 minutes addressing this whole situation. I appreciated the honesty that he said he doesn't feel like he can just walk up to Jordan Poole right now. So what he's going to have to do is put the onus on himself to rebuild the trust in that locker room from the vets and the young players and kind of tone it down a little bit. But we know that that's not what makes Draymond great. So like what happened during the 2016 finals, he's going to be walking that fine line, trying to be something he's not, and I think that that's going to end up playing to their detriment in the end.
Frank, you thought this was assault when it happened last week.
Well,
And we have seen, we have even seen in different versions in the NFL. I mean, Bobby Wagner had the situation with an invader on the field, and whether he would be charged with assault, or at least there was some. And Devontae Adams just this past week, an ordinance now going his way over contact with somebody in the workplace. This was a workplace situation. You view it as assault.
yeah, what Devontae Adams did there, completely out of line, and he should be in trouble for that. Again, with Draymond, we all love him. You can't just let the guy go unpunished. I'm not buying that.
We've been Norm. We're taking a break right here. Buyers on the other side.
Around the horn.